All right, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here ever, welcome for the first time. So on Fridays, we hang out, do makeup, and talk about like Second Life or virtual or like gaming things. And today we're going to be diving into Second Life relationships and what you guys think about them and like a little bit about mine. I asked a few of you guys on Instagram, Facebook, and Discord your experience and what your general feelings are towards them. So let's like chat about them. I'm gonna read some of the responses, but summarize a lot of them. And I'm gonna try to do this look. We struggled to get here. And I got a hat. I have no idea where we're going. I have a couple of palettes from Juvia's place we're learning together. We'll figure it out. But me, like during all of that, I think I'll also just chat. So I asked a few of you on Discord, Facebook, and Instagram about your opinion on Second Life relationships and to share some like your best and worst experiences. And I also want to talk about mine because I often feel like, we'll just get into it. We'll get into it. So we're going to learn from all of the mistakes that I've made 9,000 times and do my eyeshadow first. So if I mess it up, I can clean up and not feel like I have to do my whole face over. But I have these three palettes from Juvia's place. So this one is the Zulu collection, the Warrior 3, and the Nubian. So I got all three of these from Amazon. I linked them in my little Amazon shop. So if you wanna do the same. I'm realizing today I'm not gonna be able to get away with looking down here, because that is definitely not the camera. Also, Mama Gigi's here. So if you hear random like yells or screams or laughs, apparently she's watching like the best movie ever. I set her up on her laptop and gave her headphones to put in. And then I was like, how do people do YouTube with children? Because I was like, all right, now that my child's at daycare, I can go back to my scheduled programming. So on Facebook, there seems to be a split. So I also did one of those Instagram polls, like, do you recommend Second Life relationships? And I think what's interesting about Second Life relationships, they're kind of like all over the place. Like you find people who look at Second Life relationships like activity partners or someone to share your Second Life with, but then you also have people who develop relationships in world and that transfers over to the real world. Like whether it's only going to remain via text or video or if they plan on meeting up. That seems to be becoming a lot more common these days. And it's funny because when I look at some of these ads for like OkCupid and Tinder, does Tinder have ads? I don't know, but I've been seeing a lot of OkCupid ads or Match.com and they're selling this whole like, date virtually because, we kind of have to right now. But it sounds like what a lot of people do in Second Life. So I'm like, I feel like Second Life community was prepared for this. But let's also just talk about the relationships. Oh, I have my Fenty stuff right here. So I'm gonna put on the serum first. All right, so this stuff, you just squeeze it out of the top. And I love me a serum. Do we hear her? Like, I don't know what intense movie this could possibly be. I get acne like on my chin and neck. It's like hormonal. So, that time of the month, that's where I get my acne. So I tend to use things with acne prevention. But yeah, luminous. All right, so we have a few responses. I think the first couple, they were, the typical responses like, yes, relationships are cool in SL if you have the right level of communication, trust, and mutual understanding. And some of the early ones were also like, don't do it. Lexi, we know Lexi, she said run. But in the end, it's like real life communication, common goals, self-love before dependent love and understanding. Virtual may show more sides than the real world. I feel like last week we talked a lot about that it's very easy, like right off in the beginning to like open up and share things about yourself that it would take you a very long time with someone in real life. You know what I need to do? I need to put my little hair clips on because I bought a bunch of hair clips. I was like, I'm really trying to be Tina Belcher. So, theoretically, you could potentially form a much stronger bond with another person because, it would take you kind of years to get to a certain level of openness or I think vulnerability that people are apt to opening up to very quickly online, which is interesting. I don't know. That seems to make sense. Is this how it's supposed to work? I'm having a hard time multitasking today. I don't know what I want to do. I thought this would be easier for me because it's like very pigmented and I was like, I'll figure it out. I think let's just experiment. Anyway, I forgot what we were talking about. You would think that there's a possibility for you to build like a stronger connection with someone because you're like opening up about things about yourself very easily. It feels safer. I don't know. I've experienced this too. I don't know what it's like from a romantic standpoint where you're actually planning on like building a bond with someone in the real world because I haven't wanted to do that. But for people who are, I think there's something to it. The one point everyone was trying to make was communication. So I think like on a basic level, you have to find people who are looking for the same type of relationship you're looking for. So I remember I used to run into this all the time that I wanted like a Second Life relationship that would ask me nothing about real life. Basically, I wanted a friend and an activity partner. I am still that way. You run across people who, I think it's just the way SL is set up because a lot of it, I've seen ads that are suggesting SL is basically like a dating website, like find your love here. So there are a lot of people here who are looking for real real life connection and real life romance with people they meet here. And I mean, if you think about it, that's a pretty strong shared interest. But also when I think about it, I'm like, would I want somebody who plays SL? Like, would I want them? I wouldn't want that to be our shared hobby. Why does my chin look like that? Is that a pimple? Oh my gosh. I had a feeling. That's messed up. That's a big bump on my face. Sketchy. We're just gonna ignore the wart coming out of my chin. But yeah, you really kind of have to find and make sure you're in a relationship with someone that has the same outlook on it. Because I think that's the most uncomfortable thing when it's someone looking for a real life relationship and they start to ask you really personal questions and get to know you in that way versus like someone who only wants a SL. But what naturally happens as you communicate with someone often, you do tend to bring parts of your real life into it, even though you have no intention of taking it to real life. So, I mean, I can relate. I feel like we need to take a trip down memory lane with my relationships in SL because the weird thing, as for me, generally, I'm not a huge fan of them, but Meela's never been single. Like, she had maybe a month where there was no one. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm like a serial dater in SL. And just for anyone who's new here, I consider myself fairly aromantic. I hate dating so much. I hate it so much with a passion. Why Meela always dating? I don't know what that's about. This life is so opposite of what I even want in real life. It's weird. So when I first joined SL, I went to this place called Rocky Valley, and that's where I met Chris. And Chris was my first ever Second Life partner, and we were together for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years in Second Life. And that started off as completely role play. So we were actually at a role play sim, role playing in characters, role playing like a relationship together. And then when we both got sick of that place, we just like kept it general in SL, and then we ended up starting the Monarchy together. I would say like Chris was my legit best Second Life friend, but I always had like this feeling that he was developing a lot more serious feelings than I was. So while we were together often, I really grew fond of him as like a person and a friend. It wasn't like real romantic for me. It was like there was nothing, like if I closed my computer, I probably wasn't thinking about him at all, which I'm sorry, that sounds so harsh. But I wasn't. And I don't know if that was his experience, but I know he was developing some pretty solid feelings. So I know we had that conversation and decided it was best for us to, put a pause on things because I think it was getting a little more real for him than it was for me. But that seemed like the natural progression. Like had I not been so resistant, I think that would have been the relationship that it turned into. But I just didn't want to. So I think I see that a lot. And I think I see people who are like, I don't know if I'm open to it or not, but it kind of like naturally progresses in that way. There's not someone there who's like legit resisting. It possibly could. So after me and Chris split, we were still just friends because we had the same like group of friends and we all hung out together. So we kept in touch. It would have been like very weird to experience Second Life without him. I remember in that relationship, I also felt like I was his only like reason for logging in. I think he may have admitted that. But that's a lot of pressure and that was stressful for me because I felt like if I was on and if he was on, we were both on, like we had to be together. And sometimes I just didn't want that. Like I just wanted, y'all know me, I'm just antisocial sometimes. And sometimes I want to either just be by myself or I want to do something else. And it just like it felt like I couldn't do that. And like I'm not necessarily saying it was a bad thing because I enjoyed the time, but I don't know. I don't want it anymore. This was also before like I used Facebook, or I think Kick was the thing that everyone in the Second Life was getting. It was before Kick. So we didn't communicate at all outside of Second Life. Never exchanged phone numbers. Because like I said, stranger danger. I've always been stranger danger. You also can't really see the colors. I'm seeing a lot of colors on my face. You can't really see them. My second one was with who is now present day Ezra. I don't know if I'm liking this blue. We're gonna see. But then of course he left Second Life like pretty quickly. I feel like it was like maybe 6 months or so. These seem like long periods of time now that I'm looking back on it. I can't quite remember who existed after that. I know I left SL for a while, but I do remember there was someone that I met at the club. But I didn't meet him at the club. I met him at another club, but he recognized me from owning the Monarchy. I swear this was like the biggest fuckboy that I've ever seen in my life. I cannot get over this. But for us, it was another thing where we were just hanging out, and then one day he like asked to define the relationship. I feel like I'm like a teenage boy trying to date and avoid commitment, but he was asking to define it, and I was like, all right, whatever. So we did, and then he got weird. So he was all about like, he had a G-rated sim. He didn't want like people knowing that he went to this adult space all the time. So he was just like super, that was his own issue. I don't even know why I entertained it. Oh yeah, that's my blood money. that one was also a little scary because he lived in LA and he was very open about, you know, who he was in real life. And, you know, I wasn't really. And he worked like maybe a block away from where I lived at the time. I never told him I lived that close. Like I would always like make up where I lived because I didn't want him to know. Like we probably went to the same Starbucks, but I didn't want him to know that. So I used to lie about where I lived. Like this was now when like Kik and Facebook and things were so popular. So we were also kind of talking outside of Second Life and getting to know each other in that way. But still I had this like part of me that was very reserved and not sharing about much about my real life, but I was sharing information about my real life. Like I think there was this one moment, like a really embarrassing medical thing happened to me, and like he knew all about it. He knew about like things that happen in real life, but not so much. I don't know. I can't explain it. I wasn't really revealing much or anything that I thought he could ever like find me or identify me with. You really can't see what's happening here. We're just gonna keep piling on and see what happens. But then what started happening, because I find this weird. Like, although I was that person that was like, I don't want to have to like get on and only communicate with this person, but there would be like days or even weeks go by and he would like log in and out and wouldn't respond or wouldn't say anything. I found that weird. For me, the point of a Second Life relationship is like to have an activity partner. And I never saw this dude, and he was online all the time, and I just wasn't here for it. So, and then it's funny because not too long ago, maybe like last year or something, he like, you know, popped in and was talking about he's sorry because he also disappeared, but he was just like he's sorry, like his Second Life brother passed away and he was going through it, but he was also like trying to get a booty call. So the one after him was now the mess. So this was the guy that I was with for, I don't know how long it was. Literally, time flies by for me. I have no sense of time. But I honestly want to say it was like a solid 2, maybe 3 years, because we also took this weird break and then like started up again. But this was the one that taught me the most about like virtual relationships, because he and I spoke very different languages, and like not literally like language in terms of what affection looked like. And like you're really forced to answer some of those questions, especially when you're dealing with someone virtually, because you don't have, it's not like you're holding their hand or going out with them or cuddling with them. It's just literally all in communication. So I think honestly, Second Life may have made me a serious like communicator. You're just forced to, and you're forced to talk about like what you value in relationships or value in a partner. And he and I we were polar opposites. We should have never tried. And I've never found myself like having these like really long, frustrating conversations with someone as often as we did for years. Like that was my login experience every time we were both online. But what he used to do a lot, which I think this is just what you have to be kind of clear about in SL. So this was a point where I was a busy human being. He was busy. I tend to like being with people who are busy and can't be on every day. But what he would do is he would like say a very specific time that he was going to get online and then not show up, and then also not understand what my frustration was. Like it wasn't that he wasn't online often, because you know, I didn't care. I don't need you online often. But if you tell me you're going to be here at a very specific time and I go rearrange things to also be there at that very specific time, and then you don't do it and you do that often, a girl. But he never understood that. He was just like, I'm not an everyday SL person. I was like, that's not what I'm asking you to be. That's all they are. Like very basic level. They're just about SL. I don't know the real life gender of any of them, or actually the one, so the little fuckboy, he was a dude. And then, you know, Ezra came back to Second Life and we resumed. In the midst of that though, because, you know, we just have one of those friendships where it really, we're not taking it very serious. In the midst of that, I met someone else who was someone from my past again, and this one was a little different because this one, I think I shared pictures, not too much about real life, but he knew what I looked like. But also I found myself like doing that because he was like on the other side of the world. But I don't know, don't get too comfortable because people could be lying, because that's what I started to feel about him, that he was lying about random things or about himself, and I didn't quite understand because I wasn't asking him anything about himself, but I was sharing some of me. So I guess that could imply that you want to know about the other person, but I really didn't. I was just feeling myself. So those are my experiences. There may have been a couple more like here and there trickled in somewhere. Nothing all that serious. That one that taught me a bunch. It also taught me like how you could be completely blindsided, because I remember he used to like there was this one blow up that we had. He was interpreting certain things that I did very differently than I was intending them to be. And let's look more into these comments. I'm just like literally doing a rainbow on my eye because you can't see anything. It all looks like the same color on camera. A lot of people are saying that they like the fact that you can connect with people outside outside of Second Life, so you don't necessarily have to be logged in to continue building that relationship. Like for me, that's my nightmare, because I feel like I start to blur the line between this being SL and real life. Although I know, like, in the back of my mind, I'm never gonna meet this person, I don't want to, but you start to like kind of treat them like you're texting them or whatever. But on the other hand, it's really awesome for a lot of people to be able to do that, so you don't have to worry about rushing home and trying to find time for SL in between all of the millions of other things that you have to do. I do not like this look. We're wiping this off. We're gonna do a take 2 on this. Yikes. Siri made this poem on the post, but basically what he's saying is Second Life relationships are worth it because you're really able to see like someone, like the true person before associating it with what they look like. And I mean, I think if I wanted to have a real life relationship from a Second Life relationship, that would be the appeal for me, because I feel like things in real life, you get very distracted by how people look, and you start to kind of formulate how they are, or you create a version of themselves or of them in your head that may be very different. Like granted, that is also the risk with Second Life relationships, like you're creating a version of them in your head, but that is the one good side, I think. Oh, this is hard to get off. Why is this being so hard? I'm mad we're starting over. I'm out. I always get so cynical because I'm just like, you just don't know another person's intentions. And it's hard sometimes. It is harder. So while it's easier to open up, you might be the one opening up, but the other, it's very easy to hide who you are or present a version of yourself that you think is most ideal. So I think this is just like a playground for people who are here to, you know, possibly deceive or to try to make those connections with people they wouldn't normally be able to by presenting a version of themselves that they are not. And I think that's where the danger comes from. And a lot of the times I see a lot of these people that are very eager to jump right into a relationship, especially dealing with the ones that I've dealt with. So Mr. like same neighborhood, he was like very quick to want to be in a relationship, but like I feel like he was the most anti-relationship and the most destructive of all of them. So I feel like a lot of times those people that are ready to dive right in or too quickly, because you know, for me, I was like, you know, what's the consequence of going in too fast? Like, who cares? I'm not trying to connect with this person for real. If I were, I think he would have like, I don't know, hurt my feelings, but I didn't care. Like the next week, we met the next dude. But yeah, so I feel like, you know, you just gotta really be cautious. And then someone also recommended on their response was, you know, just really be friends first before developing a relationship. And I mean, I think that's a good idea, because then you can like kind of see these people who are jumping into relationships who may not have the best intentions. I don't discover that during a friendship. I mean, unless you're completely blinded. But a lot of people also said that it's like kind of hard to do that when you're just really into the other person and you really feel like you have a connection with them and you're attracted to them or their avatar or maybe a picture. I feel like I was fully catfished in one of these. I'm not gonna mention which one, but like for no reason, because I never asked what he looked like. And he was just sending me pictures of somebody else. But you know, do you, boo. Look how easy that color shows up though. I don't have this experience often. Oh my gosh, this one said their longest relationship was 7 years. I wonder if that like went over into real life, because like I feel like once you know someone, no matter where you meet them, after 7 years, I don't know, you're bound to like have like a real connection with that person. Although I say that, but I don't know. I don't know anything. You know what? A lot of people are saying like you have to really communicate if you want something beyond SL, if you want to do real life or not. Like me, when I say I don't want to do real life, like I, not even so much as voicing. Like now I would absolutely never, because I feel like people know what I look like and sound like, and I don't want that. But what I see happen is, although people don't want real life, like they'll do stuff like share pictures. Like picture knowing someone for 7 years and you like go on vacation, you want to like share a picture with this person that you've known forever. So you start to do that, and like although a lot of the times I see, although you said you guys didn't want real life, one person tends to kind of lean in that direction. That could even be with people who haven't seen each other, but like you just start to develop affection for each other. So how do you even deal? And I wonder, like, are people more comfortable with that now than they have been before? There are 2 colors that look like they could be like reddish. I just want to play with all of the colors. It looks like juice. I like juice. Although you can go into it communicating strongly, saying, I don't want real life. And the other person's like, me neither. Great. This is perfect. What happens when one person changes their mind and then you just like no longer have your Second Life friend anymore because that's happened and now it's weird, or you can't agree on where the relationship should go from there? It's very strange. And I feel like that would be very uncomfortable. Oh my gosh. I didn't even light that candle back there. I need to light that. It smells so good. Tangerine and guava. Yes. Yes. Light. Everything always resists my love. Cute. Now we have a burning candle. Where were we? Most of my relationships were not very mutual. I didn't tell anything about myself. I wanted SL only. I could relate. As an escape, they sent me their GPS signals, everything of their life, doctor's letter with real sensitive data. That came to fights because they started to demand I tell what I'm uncomfortable with. They were hurt, started drama, manipulation, all that stuff until plain emotional abuse. So that's interesting, right? So say there's just one person who feels like that's where the relationship is going and they're just sharing a lot about themselves, but notice that you're not sharing anything about yourself. And I can see from their point of view, that can feel just like a whole lot of rejection. And depending on like how much you openly communicate, maybe they just, I don't know, I feel like that's obvious, but maybe they just didn't get it. But on the other hand, like you never said that you were open to sharing all this information about yourself and you never asked. That's what I run into a lot, that people just like volunteer information about themselves that I didn't ask for and I don't want, or like lie about stuff that I didn't even ask about. So that can be uncomfortable. And I've seen that, and I've seen those statuses where people are talking about, I'm putting my all into this, I'm doing XYZ, and they're not doing the same in return. But in a virtual space, especially like this, where people are regarding relationships very differently, sometimes it's really on, have you listened to what the other person wants out of this? And are they matching what you want out of this? Because, you know, maybe that person's not being toxic. Maybe it's literally y'all just shouldn't be trying together because you don't want the same things. What I see in general with like any relationships, like friendships, working relationships, anytime someone communicates, there are a lot of people that like try to guilt you into doing things that they want you to do. And I see that a lot in Second Life relationships. And I've experienced that. Like people will try to, I don't know, make me feel bad for what I want just so they can get what they want. And like, honey, no. But I've seen that before, that people say like, if you don't want a real life relationship, you shouldn't even have a Second Life partner. And like, why? It's fun to have an activity partner in SL. Also, the same person says what they have now has helped through the worst times because there's always someone on your screen. Doesn't matter where you go, you never feel alone. And I think maybe that's what I liked about it too, because I think there were times, especially with that one that I should have just left alone, but there were times where I was traveling a lot for work and I would like bring my laptop, and I knew if I whipped it out, like I could just talk to them if I wanted to. And like I said, I talk more to people that I know in SL than I do in real life. Like I feel like if I was talking to someone in real life as often, it would just be weird for me. Like me, Ray, and Eugen talk all day long. Like at some point we just keep like not nonstop so we're not doing anything else, but just like as we go on about our day, we're texting and stuff. And I don't do that with anyone else. So it was the same way with like these relationships. Like it just didn't feel like there was the need for boundaries like that. Because if you felt overwhelmed or felt like closed in, which I think happens in real life relationships, like you feel like it's too much, and that's how you could just like log off or, you know, put yourself in busy on Discord. That's what I did like about it, that I could still maintain like, you know, I felt like someone was with me through the airport while I'm going to like Jamaica all by myself. It wasn't as stressful. I don't think I have a relationship like that in real life, because at some point you just kind of like, I feel like a lot of us are, because we're in our careers and we're working often. I'm not taking that type of time out to chat with someone all day through their like trip to Jamaica that's like 16 hours. This one's like a little better. It's like juicy. We'll see where this goes. She met someone after a few weeks after joining SL, and he really tried pushing her into a relationship. You see, I'm saying it's always the ones that are really like persistent or very insistent very soon. She tried to block him. He created another account. He created a female account and tried to become her friend. Whew. I feel like we've all had that experience where it's just someone who's just like, I don't know, like they are not understanding any type of social cues or just like flat out no, and they just will keep trying. And like that's the thing with SL, they could create another account, find you because they know like things about you, and then try to start over if they mess up. And I think that's what's dangerous, and I think that's why people don't like alts, because I'm always like, why do people just not like alts? Like who cares? That's a reason, or something that people can do is they can create a whole new account, come to you in a different way. If they're good at hiding who they are, they could convince you they're a whole different person and like engage in another relationship with you and potentially end up in the same place. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You know what I mean? Juicy. Just like other dating sites, only difference is it's virtual world, so it's a community. So if a man or a woman is dating other people, it can be found out and then turn into a public shit show. Yes, I guess. I feel like I need to talk about my experience. I've only been on a dating app once, and it was like the craziest date I ever had, and I never did it again. That's the only difference, right? When you're on a dating app, you don't know these other people. Like I wouldn't know other females on this dating app. Like like just not naturally, and we're not like befriending each other just because this is our shared platform. Like imagine if you were on Tinder and there were other women on Tinder that you're not, you know, you're trying to match with man, but there are other women there. Can you imagine just like adding each other on Facebook like for no reason and then like seeing them on their dates with the same person you swiped on? Like it would just be weird. And that's the experience you have in SL, that it's a community, and like a lot of times it's not that big of a community, especially like the way social networking has set things up. It feels like, you know, the world seems smaller in general. Now this virtual world seems even smaller, so you're bound to know a lot of people or share similar circles, or if there is a deception involved, it tends to get found out pretty quickly, and then, you know, the person just goes and makes another avatar and keeps going. 71% of people on Instagram say yay to Second Life relationships. 29 say no. I feel like I don't know yet. We'll know by the end of this video what I think. Best experience was wedding planning. A lot of males who are female behind the avatar. Let's talk about that for a minute. Like, do you care about the gender of the person behind the avatar if you're in one of those relationships in SL where it's not about real life? Like for me, I haven't cared. And it's funny because I was talking, I think, to Ray the other day about, you know, that annoying relationship I was just telling you about. I don't know if that was a man or a woman behind the avatar, but it didn't relate to anything in our Second Life. I think men are maybe, no, I can't even say that. I was gonna say men are more like sensitive about that. Like they want to make sure it's a woman behind the avatar, even if it's just a Second Life relationship. But I don't know. I really just think it depends on the person, because a lot of women feel the same way. For me, I didn't care because I didn't want anything from them in real life. So I'd be interested to know. Leave that in the comments. Like if you are one of those people that wants nothing in real life, does gender of the other person matter to you, and why? But yeah, I totally get it if you're kind of interested, and maybe you're not even interested in a real life relationship, but you're interested in like real life components to go along with your virtual like connection. So I know a lot of people who are in Second Life specific relationships, but they still like, you know, phone sex or sext or share pictures with each other, but they still have zero intention of ever bringing that over to real life. Is this eye done? I feel like this yellow got up too high. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to make these two blend together a little better. This yellow was like a last minute idea. I feel like I would have had to start off knowing this is what I wanted to do right here. Does gender matter? I really want to know. Please comment. Or is that why? Because even though you don't want a real life relationship, you still want real life components mixed in with your SL relationship. Let me just like cover all this up with good eyeshadow or eyeliner. Can my eyeliner just come out well today, please? Makeup gods. All right, she says, I'm still new to SL, but speaking in online gaming relationships as a whole, they are unique in a roller coaster of feelings that can be a beautiful thing or a horrible experience and a life lesson. In my case, I have a unique relationship with my other half. Before coming to SL, there was an established friendship that grew into much more. As far as IRL, we keep that separate, but I've sent my BTA behind the avatar, like photos. But once again, we have known each other for about 2 to 3 years, and that level of trust was gained. We talk about things IRL, family life, but not too far deep to where telephone numbers or addresses have been exchanged. Now on SL, I'm what's considered a poly. That's a boundary I never consider in real life. There's so much interesting about that, because that's what I was meaning. So the person I ended up sending pictures with was someone I knew for years. It was someone I knew from the beginning, but we just never went there. But again, he doesn't know my name. He doesn't know where I live, doesn't know my phone number, like nothing, but knew what I look like a lot of what I look like. You know what I'm saying? Interesting that she's interested in like poly relationships in Second Life and not in real life. I'm trying to figure out like if I would be, but I don't think I have the mental capacity to even barely have the time for one person. And like, I'm a territorial human being. I also saw one on here. Where was it? Did he delete it? I think this person deleted it. Oh, this one. Oh my gosh. A few weeks shy of their 1-year anniversary with their SL partner. Someone was talking about they had a partner, like their partner ended up leaving them for the person who was role playing their son, and those two are still together. Now that's all types of messy. But also, I feel like we gotta talk about families one day, because I see a lot of people talk about like that situation, or they'll be like, oh my gosh, didn't that person used to role play your son and now you're with them? That's disgusting. I don't know how I feel about it, but I've also never had like deep family role play. Like if someone's my child, it's just honestly me, because I don't really want one. You could meet to look for someone that's like gonna role play as a parent, but if you get to know each, like what happens? You start getting to know each other. Y'all don't even know each other, period. You're not related. But that's another thing I see all the time in SL. People really don't like that. Tell me more about it, because I think it's, you know, I just haven't experienced it. I don't know why it would matter. You just decide to change what your relationship is because y'all friends now. Y'all know each other now. I don't know. How do you keep every interaction platonic with people that you're really getting to know, especially if you're looking for affection and so is the other person? It's just like more wild too, because I feel like a lot of people, it's still a very solid betrayal when like you're being lied to by people you know. So I know a lot of people who trivialize SL relationships because, you know, a lot of people don't think they're that serious. For me, they're not that serious. So I can be one of those people where when I see people passionately fighting about their second life relationship, I just don't get it. But you're still being deceived by like people that you know, and that could burn. Because imagine like, and I've seen that too, that story, like a friend of yours is now with your partner and you had no idea they were developing that kind of connection. And usually what I see, if you're the person who doesn't want a real life connection, you're usually the one, they're like, well, they want real life and I want real life. So how much of your emotions are involved if that happens? And so I think that the one that I said I learned the most from, because we really had to learn what was valuable in the relationship for the both of us. But that was real emotion. That was real frustration. Although, you know, as soon as I log off, I'm not going to think about it anymore. But in the moment, that was passion. That was annoyance. That was sometimes fun. I don't know what it is. So you have real emotions involved somewhere in there. What are they? I don't know. I don't have the answer. I think that's it. I think I'm gonna throw some eyeliner on that and call it a day. Can't believe this chin pimple. The nerve. I've seen a lot of comments on my channel about people who don't play Second Life who are watching. So I feel like we need to like back up a little bit and talk about what Second Life relationships are. Because there are very many types and there are people with different like desires here. So there are people who come here looking for real romance. I also watched this girl on YouTube. She's like my guilty pleasure because she live streams just about her life, and she's a Second Life player, but she recently went to go connect with someone she's been with in Second Life, and she moved in with him, and like they've been vlogging about the whole thing. I am thoroughly entertained in this because of that. Like it was just something I had never experienced before, something I never would have. I don't want, but I'm always very interested in stories that are nothing like mine. I'm invested in the story. She really keeps sharing, but that happens often. So I was watching that Second Life 2.0 documentary or Life 2.0 or something on Netflix for the first time recently, and there was that one relationship where the guy went to go, I don't think he moved in with her, or maybe he did, I can't remember, but he went to go stay with like her and her daughter. They didn't end up together, but so he seemed, I don't know about him, that seems so frightening to me. And I think, you know, maybe I'm just cynical, but that seems scary. But I think it's just been my experience, especially a lot of people who have not been exactly who they were trying to portray themselves to be. And I've seen it, and that's what makes me nervous. This is usually my good eye, but I usually start with this eye. So I don't know if I have a good eye or if I'm just better at the first eye. I think it's the latter because we already messed up. This, I'm really just trying to copy that eyeliner by Starlight Designs that Meela has. Oh goodness, it's getting worse. I don't know if they're the same, but lashes, a little bit of that can hide it. No, they're not the same. Let's do some face things. When I first started thinking about doing these type of videos on YouTube, I'm like, how am I gonna do this? Like, I'm gonna be on camera with no makeup on? I wasn't here for it, but you know, it's like, it's all right. Interesting. I feel like I'm wiping off all of my moisturizer. So we need more. But I told y'all, hormonal acne. So the chin and neck are my problem areas. I haven't been to a nail salon since COVID hit, and like, I want my nails back. I don't know if I like the eyes close up, but again, I gotta get that close. What do we do first? Ooh, child. I'm almost out of this foundation because we use, I don't know why I refer to myself as we. It's because I feel like you're just here. Like you're doing this with me. What do you? They're like not even open. I really like these. Like I don't know. I've tried a lot of different concealer in my day. Like I have one over there. I think it's by Bare Minerals. I just don't like it as much as these little cheap, what are they? LA Girl? But yeah, so what I was trying to say earlier. So when thinking about Second Life relationships, and I think this is like kind of for new folk and people who just kind of don't really know about SL. And I think this might even be a testament to just like virtual dating period, especially as I see more of these dating sites really try to promote virtual dates. I think you just really have to be clear about your intentions. So this is where it gets tricky, right? Like, I think what people tend to do is they'll focus on someone they want, and they'll try to kind of shift whatever their desires are to meet that other person so it can work out with that person. So you see that often. Like, I used to say, no, I don't want a real life connection at all. I would connect with guys who have had those relationships in the second life where they, are primarily real life, but then they'll kind of switch up for me and say, oh, that's not what they want either. I mean, you can always kind of tell when that's not what they want, but they're trying to do it to please you. And I think that's just so damaging to a relationship, period. Like, anything you do simply to please the other person without having any desire or motivation for that for yourself. Or, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about relationships. Who knows? But I never like those type of relationships where the person's just doing something for me. Not from a point where they're just a people pleaser and they enjoy making you happy, but from a point where they're really shifting a fundamental interest or belief or idea just to make you happy. Those get tricky. And I feel like that's what happens in SL a lot. So you'll have two people who like each other, but they want very different things out of a relationship. And instead of like acknowledging that and saying maybe this is not the best fit, they'll try to make it work. And maybe you should. I don't know the rules of relationships, but for me, that doesn't work. At some point, your desire to have some real connection is just not going to be satisfied by me. And I'm never going to give in and like compromise for it because, for me, this is all virtual. But I feel like you see that with these like Tinder dates online too, because some of them just want like a sext buddy, and someone just like spend or help fill this time alone, and they don't want a real relationship, or they don't want something that deep. But a lot of people are just afraid to say those things, and a lot of people say like that's toxic behavior. I think it's human behavior, and I think it's just opening up about your true desires and what you really want, and not get so focused on what people tell you a relationship is supposed to be. Because sometimes you find the people where it's the perfect fit. Me and Ezra, like, that is the perfect situation. Like, it's nothing serious. We can like get online, take some pictures, randomly do things if we catch each other at the same time. If I like see another avatar that's kind of cute and I want to take like a saucy or a racy picture with that avatar, then we're gonna do it. Like, we don't care. But you just have to find the people whose interests or values or like what you want out of things are aligned, and if not the same, at least compatible, right? Because I'm talking on the wide ends of the spectrum here. I'm talking about you want real life, you don't want real life. There's a lot of wiggle room in between. So maybe what you want is compatible with what someone else wants, and that can work. But I think when you're on the opposite side, that's where you get a lot of like friction. And that's what makes it tricky, because also me being that person who's over here that wants nothing related to real life, I also can't understand the experience or, the emotions of the other person. And I can't understand like how some of their feelings are developing in ways that mine aren't. And I think that's what went down in my first relationship. For him, he's like, we've been together for 2 to 3 years. I think I might like love you at this point. I know so much about you. You know so much about me as a human. Like, we didn't know each other's phone numbers, but we knew everything else. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. And I felt very blindsided and like, I felt bad. And people call that toxic behavior when you've been in something that long. Like, I've seen people call it toxic all the time. Like, you've been with them 4 years in SL, or you're just supposed to like stop in the middle of your fun. Like, we're still having fun. I still really like you, but we should cut this right now, because if you fall in love a year from now, I'm not going to be in love with you. Like, is that what you're supposed to do? Or are you supposed to just be really transparent about your intentions? Like, I always feel transparency is just like, it makes the world go round. And if people are just honest and transparent about who they are, like, people shouldn't feel bad about who they are or what they want. Granted, if it's not like murdering people, you know what I mean? Like, we're not going that dramatic, but like, just simple stuff. You just gotta talk, man. You just gotta really talk about it. You can't get so consumed with the crush that you kind of lean into what they want more and lose yourself and you lose what you want. And concealer, it's always just feels like a little bit too much, because it is. We're being extra. I'm getting a headache. I went out today. I feel like that's it. Or maybe my wig's too tight. It's not on, but it's tight. I'm trying to see what I've liked about relationships. I've noticed, I think, in all of them. So in real life, I'm about my life. I take care of me. I have a career. I pay for all my stuff. I create a certain lifestyle that I want. But I've noticed in my second life relationships, I let them handle everything. Like Ezra, well, he's not on enough to pay tier, but he handles tier. You know what I mean? The last one was the same. I let them take like all the responsibility. And I think that's what I like. But in real life, I wouldn't like it. Oh, Ashley elbow. You know, it's funny, like for these videos, it's like I formulate my opinion during them. So I bet they feel like very all over the place. You know, I could come with notes and ideas, but it's through like talking it out that I start to realize what I think. Butterfly. Oh my god, we forgot contour again. Butterfly. But yeah, so what I recommend people get into second life relationships. I can't answer that question for y'all. I mean, I will. I mean, I think, yeah, like why not? You really gotta, do the work to find people that are aligned or compatible with what you want out of a second life relationship. If you want an activity partner that you could potentially just chat with all day and know that that's as deep as it goes, and you don't need to restrict anything you're doing in real life for them, and you know, if you did develop a real life relationship, you would end the second, like that's me. Like if I were, I probably would just end it because I wouldn't want my partner chit-chatting it up with a fake girlfriend online. So I would end whatever is going on in the world. Ooh, we're getting so many more things to talk about. For people who are in real life relationships, do you also have second life relationships? How do they differ? For some reason, a couple years ago, people thought I was like married in real life, and they were like, why do you have second life relationships if you're married? I don't see anything wrong with that, but I just feel like it would just be very hard to explain to like my real partner. So I would probably just end it instead of trying to. But if they get it, y'all tell me. Is there an issue? For me, the issue comes from those people who want some sort of real life component. I mean, unless their relationship is fine with that. Like, we don't know everyone's relationship. That might be okay in theirs. But if it's not, and you're seeking something like real life validating and not just someone to like go to random goat museums with in World or something, then that could be problematic. What could we do to cover up that chin pimple? Anything? God, just... What side is an eye? Is it there? Oh my gosh, we don't have our eyebrows done. So this is always the one that it's hard to figure out. It's hard to come to a collective agreement because, right, people who don't experience their SL in the same way aren't going to be able to relate or understand. But people who create alts and have like different relationships on different alts, like how problematic is that? And how problematic is it if they're one of the type of people who say there is nothing real life related to this relationship? You are dating this character and you are role playing with this character. On my other account, I'm with this person. How do you feel? Do you feel some type of way? Would I feel some type of way? Just a mess. One time someone called out someone they thought was my alt and said like she dates people on both of these. I mean, it turns out, I mean, he wasn't my alt, but like even if I did, I share so low about my real, like what you are literally dating that character. And like on one of my alts, they're a different personality. My guy alt, not Mahira, the guy before him. It's just a different personality. I mean, I don't play him often anymore, but when I did, that was very masculine energy coming out through that avatar. And if I had dated, would that have been a problem? I don't remember which of these two we use for this. Uh-oh. What have I done to myself? Someone subscribed. Also, like, a random timeout and thank y'all for being awesome and being, like, into this. Because this was the type of content I was very nervous about. I'm like, they're not going to be into this. They don't want to watch, like, real makeup. It has nothing to do with Second Life. Y'all were chill. Y'all were cool. Because it's fun. I feel like I'm punched in the face. How does this happen? It just, like, goes south so quickly. I don't know. I'm gonna put some powder on my face. Ignore this disgrace. Although Meela's never been single, this is a very one-sided experience that I've had. I feel like it would have just been interesting to talk to other people about it. So you guys really have to tell me, like, in comments your experience and like your point of view on some of these things that I still can't answer. But yeah, back to that question, what I recommend. And yeah, I think, yeah, if you can really communicate and stick to what you really want, and if your wants change, that's okay, as long as you can communicate that. I feel like there's nothing wrong with it and there's nothing weird about it. I think that's the weird thing. That's the one thing I didn't mention to my friends that I've had second life relationships, but because I always just like, y'all gonna think more into it than they were, you know, whatever. We an open book these days, so what are you gonna do? What are my mom's doing? Like, is she knocked out? Oh, we didn't do our eyebrows. We started our eyebrows. But I've noticed after that one, I'm very like I want to talk it all out, like extensively, probably to a point where it's annoying. But like I feel a very strong need to make sure we're both understanding each other and that we both understand what appreciation, affection, interest looks like. And I think that's for me. So the issue was he didn't think I was into him. I felt like I had done so much to prove that I was, but also I'm just not like a lovey-dovey. What is the phrase? And he would do things like buy me things a lot that I didn't want. And that's always uncomfortable for me, because when you buy stuff that I don't want or don't like, but like the thought was nice, but he did it so often. And that was his way of showing, like, I guess that he was into me. I don't know. I can't remember what he wanted from me to show that. I just felt like I told him, so like that's enough. But that's me. I'm a words person. I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel often. But he didn't feel validated, and that was a surprise to me because I didn't know he didn't feel validated. Especially because there was a lot that I changed in SL for him, like a lot that I changed for him, and that to me was me showing that I cared, but that wasn't the language that he was speaking. That was not his love language, and we didn't agree. Maybe that's why I haven't wanted SL relationships that are like real, because I wouldn't know how to show affection through SL. Like, I know how to like literally explore and play and just spend time with each other, and I feel like for me, that's all I would care about. I wouldn't know how to show affection otherwise. I wouldn't want to. Are we done? Lashes? How do I open you? What do you want from me? I think honestly, I feel like more people are going to be getting into real life relationships more often. As always though, like, just be careful. It really is. It's really easy to decide who you want to be and then just present that person, even if it's not you, in these virtual spaces. I think that's scary and dangerous. But then I do think it's beautiful that you can be completely yourself, walls down, vulnerable, exposing exactly who you are, and connecting with another person who may be doing the same. And that could just be a lasting connection that, you know, that you might not get as, like, I don't want to say as quickly, but like, it may not be as substantial in real life sometimes. So that's cool. But like, don't get killed or anything. I remember I used to be extra. I was an extra in a movie, or several, or like a dozen or so. Oh, I remember the woman would come over to me so often and like touch up my makeup because I would get shiny real quick. And I remember she used to like pat my tits. It was strange. And I was like, I'm just the extra, like just hide me, but pay me to be hidden. And I remember, I don't even want to talk about the movie that I was in. I hope none of you ever see it or if notice, because it was a hot ass mess. I looked a hot ass mess. The actor that I was in the scene with was a very short man, and I don't think people know. And I'm 5'10". I think I may have had heels on too. That wasn't my fault. That was wardrobe. He had a very big issue with me like being anywhere near him in that scene, and like kept calling me out. And I was like so young and like scared. I was like, he's picking on me. He used to be my favorite actor. It's so hard to like not have your mouth open ridiculously. A lot of people do this and like say pretty. Like, oh, hi. Hi, welcome to my channel. I was gonna try to put these on with little tweezers, but like, we've been here for 13 hours. Oh, that's just stuck. It was almost dry. But you kind of want them a little dry. Like, I think someone commented in the last video, like, ooh girl, hurry up, that lash is gonna dry. I want them dry so it's like sticky and not like slippery. When you put it on your lid and if it slips, that's just annoying. Like, you want it to be a little sticky. But black duo is way better. I don't like this white stuff. Like the color black, like adhesive. It really does look like we semi-know what we're doing from afar. Girl, is it showing up? I feel like no. Maybe I just need different blood.
It's too late now to go out. But they got that fake money years old.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
All right, so the last message on this was from someone who said they're just like real life. They're going to be good ones and bad ones. I think my takeaway from that is, you know, define what it looks like to have a good relationship for you. Because I think what gets misconstrued a lot is when other people weigh in, you know, basing their opinions on what a good relationship looks like for them versus what it looks like for you. If you're one of those people that just doesn't want, you know, a certain type of SL relationship, that's what you go on. I don't know. Make it as complicated as you want to make it and as simple as you want to. Did I do color last time? I have this new Smashbox orange. Or should we just do red? I also got this hat today. I'm a hat person. I'm here for it. It's very like ready. I'm ready for fall. Not terrible. All right, but yeah, moral of the story. I mean, there's no yes or no. There's no right or wrong. I don't think there's any right or wrong way to have an SL relationship. Like, just really be upfront about what you want out of it and try to find someone who's doing the same. And I think, you know, all we can do is like try. I feel very like Halloween. Is this Halloween? Called it. Name of the video. But anyway, you guys, thanks so much for watching and spending like the last 2 hours of your, well, it's gonna, I don't know, maybe it'll be 30 minutes for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video and you like videos like this, be sure to slap the like, give a thumbs up, and subscribe, por favor. Wait, like and thumbs up are the same thing. Anyway, also comment like one on that thing about like the real life relationship situation. I want to know about that. And also what you want me to talk about next. This week, I really couldn't figure out anything to talk about. And then I was like, oh, relationships. Because like, you know, when you're just like experiencing a lot of this stuff, like in the moment, you don't think about like, I don't know. Just tell me what has been on your mind when it comes to like SL stuff that you find interesting that we can chat about. But you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you soon on a live stream. Bye.
Just the other day, saw you looking my way.